All right, match number 1. Yes, we'd like to play first. This is pretty much an awful hand. It's playable. I don't think you ever keep 5 lands with Soul Sisters. Your average 6-land hand will be much better. So we're going to ship this back. And I think this is actually keepable with the Scry. It gives us 2... Yep, okay, so we get a Plains on top, and that is going to make this hand pretty good against a variety of decks. Of course, this is just going to be insanely good versus a deck like Burn. Going to be great versus Death Shadow with the Arctic Champion coming out on turn number 2. A lot of times they can't stop it. Bloodstained Mire usually is a very good sign because the majority of decks we just flat out win. And we called it Burn, so this is an auto loss for my opponent. Especially when he sees the Arctic Champion coming down. And this is going to be all she wrote. I think that unless my opponent has some pretty phenomenal hands or phenomenal cards in hand, I do have to play around Skullcrack because Skullcrack can kill my Arctic Champion. But if my opponent does tap out, Riftbolt, okay, I don't have to worry about a Skullcrack. And we will go ahead and block. And save ourselves a damage. It's absolutely not what red wants to be doing on turn number 2, is not getting in for any damage. So, yeah, I feel bad for my opponent, Soul Sisters. Is the whole reason you play it, though, is for the Burn match and some of like the Grixis Shadow matches. It's pretty good in the meta at the moment. This is just the nail in the coffin. I actually think we can turn the tides here with the Honor of the Pure, but possibly I just want to gain more life. Yeah, because I gain it for 4, but this is fine. We'll gain a lot of life. The Riftbolt is now rendered useless. I do still think I'm ahead, so I'm just going to attack with both. Why attacking with both? I guess I should explain that. Because we have lethal if my opponent decides to go for the face. Opponent didn't decide to go for me. We would have lethal with the Honor of the Pure in 2 turns. But Burn never wants to be doing damage to the creatures. Could be like a Lightning Helix coming here. Yeah, Lightning Helix at me, which is pretty much Annabelle. All right, my opponent's out of cards. We do need to gain some more life. So now I'll just get in with the 2 Soul Wardens. Keep back the Arctic Champion. Just throw out the Flag Zone. There's no point to keeping it back. Windburst High Soda nice there. So we kept it 1 lander and drew all lands, which is fine. And this, if my opponent has a Skullcrack, they probably would have used it last turn to try to... I mean, this is just death, though, if this hits. Yep. And we'll speed things up with the Arctic Champion attacking in. That's not necessary. A lot of times I just hold back, but it's over. We have we have lethal on board next turn. My opponent has 2 cards in hand. Doesn't have a lot of wiggle room with 22 life. And hey, we get our first rage quit. Our first... He's never seen Soul Sisters before. Oh. Must be a new player, this Moo. If they have it, because Soul Sisters is a legit deck. It had a good run at the last Grand Prix. So I know Burn did win one of the last Grand Prix, but this is exactly why you play Soul Sisters. People told me, I've been getting a lot of people, when are you going to play Soul Sisters again? When are you going to play Soul Sisters again? And, yep. What a rage guy. I got to show you this. He just conceded from the match. Yep, so he just completely... Oh, I didn't concede. He's probably just going to waste my time here. It gets even better post-sideboard to get the Mark of Asylum. I usually do bring in Return to the Ranks. And, like, Leyline's actually pretty decent, too. All of these are optional. They're not even, like, necessary versus the deck. I think that Smuggler's Copter is kind of not that great versus Burn. You can easily take it out. You don't want Paths. There's no points to Paths. But, yeah, Leylines, I think, are pretty good in your opening hand. I think at this point, you just take out the Archangel of Thunes in this match. Is the card you take out. Maybe the Honor of the Pures. Honor of the Pures allow you to go a little bit quicker. You just don't want the... Sometimes they'll, like, leave in one and then cut a land. And you can make the argument that Smuggler's Copter would be a better... Yeah, just 22 lands is fine. And we'd submit this. So my opponent's super salty. It's called modern. I mean, this is modern for you. Most of the time you lose to the matchup, not to the skill of the player. It does come in handy every now and again, though. Of course, you have to outplay your opponents. It's like Soul Sisters, I think, is a more difficult deck to pilot than people want to admit. There are a lot of options in the sideboard you really have to be, and angles you have to take. Like, there's some matchups where a lot of people just can play completely wrong. Where they should be being more aggressive with Soul Sisters or the exact opposite. We're going to keep this just because Leyline of Sanctity is so good. This is a risky hand, but we have basically a play every turn. And there's the Swiss Spear. And we get a Flagstone, so I think we're just going to put out an Ascendant. Because it's going to get burned now that I don't have the Leyline of Sanctity. Could have a Destructive Reveille. I'll let it go through. But all the Lava Spikes and Boros Charms, okay, well there's that. Did bring in a Destructive Reveille. I kind of question why, but this is a pretty good play. Because we get to gain 2 life. And get to gain 2 life there again. Basically rendering the Goblin Guide useless. Should bolt off a Soul Ward. I'm going to go for a Lava Spike. Don't care. Lose 4 damage. We get it all back. On the Pure next turn. It's an interesting card. Because it does give the 2 lifelink here. But I think it's just Pridemate. Or 2. No, we go 2 Saracen. It's to gain a bunch of life. Because my opponent's trying to go for lethal here. Back up to a 17. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. If my opponent plays a Shockland, we can just kill him on the backswing. Just double Rift Bolt. Yep, it's over. Okay, so we'll dishonor the Pure and win. He knows I have an honor. 2, 4, 6, 8. Oh, that's only 10. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Still think it is honor, though. So I'm going to keep these 2 back. Maybe force the Rift Bolts. 2, 4, 6. Yeah. Should go at... Okay, he's going to go at the Sarah's Ascendants. Okay, that's fine. Going to spike me. Still at 17, though. And gives us a Windbrisk Heights. That's nice of him. Down to an 11. Still hasn't hit a land. This is a pretty powerful burn hand. but we have lethal on the backswing. And I think my opponent's going to be insanely salty, but he will get reported if he tries to do this nonsense. All right, there's my trash for the time, or my trash talk back. Okay, so we'll flagstones here and just go spectral processions. This guy is even Jund isn't even like in the meta at the moment too. This is how clear this guy does not understand what he's talking about. But this is typical for burn players. Burn players versus Soul Sisters. It's sad. It oh. Anyway, try not to be like this person. I'm the same way. I can't stand when I queue up as Soul Sisters and get scape ship, Tron. You know, it's like that's just the name of the game with Modern, and that's one of the reasons why I kind of bowed out of Modern, just because of the amount of decks, non-interactive decks, and it seemed more about the matchups than anything. And Standard to a point, that's a point. But to yeah, Modern just seems like so many times you sit down and you just know you've lost. And this is one of those cases. I've lost to Burn before, for example, and I beat Tron. In fact, in a tournament, I 3-0'd Tron, just with, lucky Stony Silences, lucky Martyrs into Sarah Ascendants type things. But anywho. Anyway, Don't be salty like this, asshat. This is embarrassing. But he gets to go to my collection. Anyway, I'm going to go report him, and we'll get back to game number 2.